Ready, I'm recording this session now. Wait. So today, as you know, we're going to be starting with our class number 4 of the week number 4. We only have one class this week. It's the week 4. So we have the W for today. Ready? And today we are going to start with a short story. Ready? It's a reading about a short story. I would like you to help me to read it. Ready? So, well, let's go ahead. Who wants to read first? Who wants to start with the reading? Maybe Viviana, maybe Carolina, I don't know. Who wants to start from here until here?
Me, teacher.
Go ahead, Carol.
Okay. It all started a couple of weeks ago when some scientists from the ICT of New Zealand found a new discovery related to the field of genetics while they were studying a new piece of bone from a caveman fossil.
Exactly. Very good. So they start the story using this expression is it all started a couple of weeks ago when a group of, or when some scientists from New Zealand, from the ICT of New Zealand, ICT is like the Institute of Technology, right? So found a new discovery related to the field of genetics. Yeah. In, in the moment or while they were studying is a new piece of bone, o sea, hueso, right? From a caveman. What is a caveman? Do you know what is a caveman? What is the meaning of caveman? What is that word?
Cavernícola.
Muy bien, nombre de las cavernas o cavernícola, very good. So they were studying a piece of bone from a caveman fossil. Ready? When they discovered a new found on the field, field it means campo, on the field of genetics. Listo, good. Bueno, who wants to continue? Vivi, do you want to continue?
Yes, teacher.
Dale, go ahead.
They found that your ancestors have a lot to do with the way your feeding habits developed. They
Develop.
have been the teacher
Develop.
developed.
Mhm.
They have been running a lot of tests in order to determine if it is only related to the male or the both parts of your bloodline.
Bloodline. Mhm. Good.
Bloodline.
Exactly. Well, so they say that they found that your ancestors, it means like antecesores, tus ancestors, right? Have a lot to do, tienen mucho que ver, right? With the way that your feeding habits develop. O sea, your ancestors are related to your feeding habits. Feeding habits, it means hábitos alimenticios, ready? So they are related. Your ancestors with your feeding habits are related, right? Bueno, so, and they say that they have been running some tests, or a lot of tests, have been running, o sea, in this moment too, from the past to the present, in order to determine if it's only related to the male, solo con los machos, o con ambas partes de la línea sanguínea, right? Which is bloodline, right? Muy bien, excellent. And the last part, we're going to have here our last part, yes? So we're here. Who wants to read the last part? Paula, oh, yes.
But you need to know if that other things have failed to understand the nature of the feeding heritage.
Muy bien, very good. So in that case, they said what you need to know. So in that case, it's like, hey, there is another extra information related to the story, but this is like a complementary information about that. And they say, well, what you need to know. Lo que tienes que saber es que, yes, other teams have failed in the past, no, to understand the nature of the feeding heritage. Feeding heritage is like herencia alimenticia, so all the process of the feeding habits in the past. Ready? Guys, questions on vocabulary? Difficulties on vocabulary here?
Teacher, una pregunta.
Yes, Tara.
En la última parte donde dice como que, pues como que ha comprendido equipos, ¿es equipos o grupos? Es decir,
Gu-
pues...
Sí, bueno, in that case it's the same, ¿no? Equipos o grupos de investigación, obviamente, ¿no?
mm,
Entonces, pues la palabra team, cuando hablo de deportes, eso es equipos, ¿sí? Pero obviamente
ajá.
cuando hablo de investigación, se refiere más como a esos grupos de investigación, right?
Ya, ok.
Mhm. Right.
Gracias.
Muy bien, very good. Any other question about vocabulary?
How do you pronounce feeling heritage? In the
Heritage, the last one.
heritage.
Heritage.
Thank you.
Good. Okay, got it. Very good. Wait. So, of course, as you can see, this over here, it's a story, but it's a story more related to a piece of news, no? When we talk about the news, you know, the news broadcast, the economics news, sports news, celebrities news, all of that, well, they are basically stories, right? So they are stories that they are composed by past and present facts, right? Normally, when we talk about the stories, like an anecdote or something like that, we only have past anecdotes or past facts, no? So we're talking about, for example, previous birthday or the previous Christmas. It's only talking in simple past because it's like we did this and then my mother my mother cooked and then we danced. Yes, and it's only in simple past because the action it's already finished. But when we talk about the news, yes, the pieces of news, as I told you, economics, politics, all of that, these pieces of news are going to be stories, but stories that include past and present. Ready? So taking into account that we're going to find a lot of times different tenses. Tenses, for example, simple past, like here, found, ¿cierto? Simple past, but also past continuous, no? We're studying, yes? But also, probably we're going to use present perfect, yes, because includes things in the present, and the present perfect continuous. Ready? So today we're going to learn how to tell stories, bueno, how to tell news better, how to tell the news, right? And many on or any other story that includes present facts. Ready? Do you know what is the meaning of the word fact? Facts. What is the meaning of that word? Facts.
Yes. Hechos.
Hechos, ¿cierto? O sea, lo que sucedió, los hechos que sucedieron, right? Entonces, when you're talking about a past story, well, you only have past facts, simple past, that's it. But with the news, normally we include present facts, right? It's a story or it's a situation that started in the past. Yes, so we have certain details here, some situations or some facts there, but the situation has evolved until the present. So normally the news have also some situations or some details that have happened in the present, right? That's why it's a little bit different. So let's remember that difference between different tenses in the past. Let's start by remembering the difference between past continuous and simple past. This is something that we have worked previously, ¿no? Ya lo habíamos visto. So remember that the past continuous is different from the simple past because the past continuous, it's going to have the W, the verb to be in past was, were, yes, and then the verb in ing. Yo estaba haciendo, yo estaba durmiendo, yo estaba comiendo, and it's going to be used to describe the general context. O sea, lo que estaba pasando. For example, in the example of the story, we said, ¿qué estaban haciendo? They were studying a new piece of bone. Ese es el contexto, what they were doing, right? So in that case, oh, sorry, yes, here. So in that case, the past continuous is used for talking about the context or for talking about simultaneous actions. Simultaneous actions. O sea, two actions that they happen at the same time. For example, no sé, let's say, my friend arrived to my house while I was taking a shower. Two actions that happen at the same time, right? So also for simultaneous actions. ¿Listo? That's the use of the past continuous. Now, the simple past is for the opposite thing. In this case, when we talk about the simple past, you know, and it's important to memorize it, that is used for talking about the next action. When I want to continue chronologically in a story, when I want to use the next action, lo que pasó después, I am going to use exactly that, simple past. O sea, ed, did, was, were, simple past, right? The things that you know as simple past. Here we have an example, ya lo hemos visto varias veces. I was sleeping when my mother called. Entonces, I was sleeping, el contexto, yo estaba durmiendo, ready? ¿Y qué pasó después? The next action, my mother called. That's the thing, ready? So that's the difference between past continuous and simple past. Muy sencillo, no problem. It's easy, ready? Guys, questions about this part? Preguntas sobre esta parte, ya lo hemos visto, pero igual, dudas, questions, anything?
No, no, teacher.
Super easy, muy bien, very, very good. Alvarito, ¿cómo vas? Good, no problem?
Good, teacher. Oh, yeah.
Excellent, excellent, very good. That's the first difference between the two different past continuous and simple past, right? Now, remember that in addition to this one, we also have the past perfect. Yes, the past perfect. Wait a second. Past perfect. It's over here. One second. Once again, here. The past perfect, it's another different past. Yes, it's composed by had plus the verb in past participle, ¿cierto? Past perfect. And it's used for talking about an action that happened before another action in the past. So it's like the past of the past. Because when we have two actions in the past, for example, this one, I woke up at 9 a.m. Yes, but we have an action that happened before another action. This was at 7 a.m. So the action that happened first, the action that happened before, you know, it's going to be with past perfect. Yes. So for example, I would say that my mother had called, had, and the verb in past participle, had called me, yes, when I finally woke up. Simple past. Obvio, si el past perfect es para hablar de la acción previa, el simple past es el opuesto, que es de la acción siguiente. Entonces, cuando hablo de la acción siguiente, cuando voy hacia el frente en la historia, simple past. Pero si me devuelvo en la historia, past perfect. ¿No? Entonces, in that case, I am going to have other two connectors. I can have the connector when, for saying like the first action had finished when the second action happened. O sea, esto ya había pasado cuando la segunda acción pasó, right? Or I can use the connector because. Because in this case is going to show me that the second action happened because the first action had happened before. Había sucedido primero, ready? Entonces, when I use the connector because, I am saying that this is the cause and this is the consequence, right? For example, I finally woke up because my mother had called me at 7 a.m. So the second action happened for the reason of the first one. ¿Listo? Entonces, those are the two connectors that we can use when we work with past perfect and simple past. Igualmente también ya lo hemos visto, pero questions, difficulties, how do you feel? All good, all problem?
No, teacher.
All good. Listo. Muy bien, very good. Entonces,
Fine, teacher, fine.
very good, excellent. Entonces, hasta aquí, pues básicamente es lo que es el pasado. Es decir, cuando una acción o cuando una historia ya finalizó, ¿cierto? Entonces, cuando la historia ya finalizó, cuando la historia ya no tiene más detalles en el presente, pues usamos estos tiempos. Simple past, past continuous, past perfect. Alguno de los tres, ¿cierto? Entonces, I can say, for example, a short story, una historia corta. For example, I'm going to read it here. So, well, I was working last week when I felt a horrible pain in my shoulder. Yes, hasta ahí, good. I was working last week when I felt a horrible pain in my shoulder. I think it was because I had exercised before. Exercised earlier. ¿Cierto? Entonces, los tres tiempos, sencillo, past continuous para el contexto, ¿qué estaba haciendo? I was working. ¿Qué pasó? I felt a horrible pain in my shoulder, ¿ok? Y pasó porque I had exercised before. Había ejercitado. ¿Cierto? Entonces, una historia muy cortica usando los tres tiempos. 1, 2, 3. Nada del otro mundo. Obviamente esta historia ya no tiene detalles en el presente, entonces finalizó en el pasado y ya está, ¿cierto? Pero, if I want to express that I continue with problems, I continue with pain, then I am not going to use past because it's now in the present. So I can say, for example, that recently I have been feeling better, but I have had pain at night. Then in that case, I didn't use past simple, past perfect. No, I use present perfect, I have had, and I use present perfect continuous. I have been feeling better, yes. Talking about, or like what I want to imply here, it's that recently, including the present, yes, including the present, I have had like some pain, yes, but I have been feeling better, yes, but including the present, not only about the past. So when I am telling a story, I can talk about the past actions with simple past, past continuous, or past perfect, but I can include actions or facts of the present using present perfect or present perfect continuous. Ready? Ahora, let's see the present perfect and the present perfect continuous. Again, ya lo hemos visto, but we're going to watch it again, right? So, 1 second, let me erase. Yeah, that's it. Bueno, entonces, the present perfect, it's an action, or it's a tense, sorry, that includes past and present. Entonces, it's including, wait, in red, it's including past and present. Yes? ¿Por qué? Because the present perfect is an action, is a tense that is not specific in time. Maybe only in the past, maybe only in the present, but it's including both, right? So I have two possibilities. I can have present perfect simple. It's only have and the verb in past participle. Yes. Or I can have the present perfect continuous. That it's have plus been plus the verb in ing. Sorry, in ing. O sea, in gerund. Yes. This one it's saying like he hecho, he trabajado, he tenido, ¿cierto? But this one, it's different. He estado haciendo, he estado durmiendo, he estado trabajando, he estado sintiendo, so on, so on. What's the difference? The difference is that the present perfect simple includes actions that happen in different moments, but separated but for some time, right? For example, I would say, I have worked in many places. ¿Cuándo? Many times. In 2013, in 2015, in 2021, ¿cierto? No fue continuo. I worked here sometime, then I quit, then I work here sometime, then I quit. Quit is renunciar, yes. And then I work here sometime, then I quit. O sea, no fue continuo, ¿cierto? Entonces, it's just, esto ha pasado in my life many times. That's it. But if it's an action that started in the past and continuously, o sea, sin interrupción, continuously has happened until the present, then I am going to use the present perfect continuous, right? For example, I have been working here for, ya he completado 8, entonces for 8 years, right? Entonces, I have been working here for 8 years, sin parar, ¿cierto? I started in 2015, and desde ese momento, since that moment, I have been working here for 8 years, ready? Entonces, The present perfect continuous is going to focus a lot on the duration of the time, ¿cierto? Entonces, ¿por cuánto tiempo lo has estado haciendo? Ah, bueno, for 8 years, for 2 months, recently, and so on, so on. Ready? But then you have the two different present perfect. Present perfect simple and present perfect continuous. ¿Listo? ¿Qué tal? Clear the difference? Más o menos. Questions about this part?
Más o menos, teacher.
Preguntas, Vivi, questions, algo que no te quedó claro.
No
tranquilo.
tanto preguntas, ni de pronto que no me haya quedado claro, sino como, no sé, como de pronto un poquito más
Ejemplos.
de ejemplos. Ajá. De pronto sí me ayudaría, como,
Claro que sí, of course.
gracias, profe.
Bueno, very good. Entonces, over here. For example, somebody has studied English before. ¿Alguien había estudiado inglés antes de SMART?
No, teacher.
Pau, ¿tú sí?
Yes, teacher.
Yes. ¿Dónde habías estudiado antes? Bueno,
Duolingo?
listo, perfecto, got it. Let's say. Entonces, for example, I would say that Paula has studied English in different parts. You know, in the school, in the university, in Duolingo, maybe in another institute. Doesn't matter, ¿cierto? Pues Paula has studied English in different parts. Como no son seguidas, pues es present perfect simple. Una pasó por aquí en el colegio, another one here in the university, another one here, separated. Yes. But since April 17, ¿cierto? Since April 17 of 2023, desde ese día, right? We have been studying English together. Yes. ¿Por qué hay uso present perfect continuous? Porque ese día empezó y desde ahí no hemos parado. Paramos una semanita, pero fue de resto continuo, ¿cierto? Entonces, es una acción que empezó en el pasado, pero ha sucedido o ha estado sucediendo sin parar hasta el presente. ¿Ready? Ahí va present perfect continuous, ¿cierto? El anterior no, porque ya paró en algunos momentos de su vida, pero este curso en especial ella no ha parado. Entonces, Paula has been studying English with the SMART since April 17. ¿Mm? Bueno, we all together, todos. We have been studying English together. ¿Listo? Ready? There's another example of how is different to use the present perfect simple and the present perfect continuous. ¿Listo? A little bit better, un poquito mejor.
Yes, teacher.
Yes. Listo, muy bien. We have another one here, or other examples here, especially for the present perfect continuous. Ready? So let me wait, I make it bigger. Come on. Eso está ahí. Listo, very good. Entonces, present perfect continuous, the structure always have o has, obviamente depende del sujeto, been y ing, en todas las formas. Si es negativo, have not o has not, been y ing. Esa parte de been and ing va a estar presente siempre en todas las formas. Been and very ing. Lo que va a cambiar es el auxiliar, have or has. Ready? Because, for example, they have been learning English for 2 years. They have been learning English for 2 years, especially the time, no? They have not been learning English for 2 years. No, bueno, in our case, we have been studying for, ¿cuánto tiempo? For April, como 10 months, más o menos. No, mentiras. Yes, 10 months.
8, ¿no?
8, 8.
Nine, teacher. Nine.
Ah, eso, 9 months. Good. Exactly.
Nine.
So I've been studying for 9 months. Good. Excellent. Es el tiempo que hemos estado estudiando. Right? Easy. Perfect. Now, here, if it's negative, simplemente not, and that's it. No problem. If it's question, I change the auxiliary first before the subject, antes del sujeto, and that's it, right? Uses for the present perfect continuous. Karen, help me to read the first use.
Explain long action that start in the past and continue until now.
Example?
I have been studying engineering for 5 years.
Perfect, that's it. Vivi, the second example, please.
Express recent actions that have clear evidence or results now. He has water and red eyes because he has been
Crying.
crying all day.
Muy bien. So in that case, they say, ok, pilas, también para expresar algo que ha sucedido o que ha estado sucediendo, porque tengo clara evidencia, ¿no? Entonces, he has watery and red eyes. Tiene los ojos llorosos y rojos. Because he has been crying all day, ¿no? Entonces, ha estado llorando todo el día. Listo. And Alvarito, the last one, please.
Express shorter situations that are usually temporary. I have been studying the whole week for the final test.
Okay, very good. Bueno, words here, temporary, o sea, temporalmente. And I have studied the whole week, o sea, la semana completa, right? For the final test, o sea, algo que es temporal. That's it. ¿Listo? Entonces, basically, that's the use of the present perfect continuous. Questions, guys, difficulties, problems, vocabulary here. ¿Algún vocabulario aquí en estos examples? ¿No?
No, teacher.
No.
Súper bien. Excelente,
No,
excelente,
sí.
excelente. Chan, chan, charan. Yeah, that's it. Bueno, so taking into account that what we're trying to do is telling a story, yes, we're going to have to take into account the timeline, la línea de tiempo. It's very important to use the timeline because the timeline is going to help me to organize all the facts of the story. For example, I'm going to tell you a story with these situations over here. The COVID was discovered. That was on December of 2019. Como es simple past, pues uso was, discovered, that's it. Yes, ya pasó, ya finalizó. Yes. Then after that, yes, in April of 2020, my salary came down. Mi salario bajó. ¿Cierto? ¿Por qué? Pues ahí me quiero devolver. Because the COVID had arrived to Colombia. It's happened in February 2020. Como pasó antes, me estoy devolviendo, uso past perfect. Had arrived to Colombia. Ready? Ahora, situations that started in that moment and are happening until now, until the present. And for example, people have been working from home. For example, in my case, I started working from home in the pandemic and I continue. I am still working here in my house, right? So it's an action that has been happening for some people since the moment of the pandemic, no? Entonces, but continues now. So present perfect continues, right? Or I can say, for example, that the merchants have tried to jump back. Jump back, it means como recuperarse, right? So the merchants have tried to jump back. Algunos sí, algunos no, en diferentes momentos, sometimes, no es continuo. Entonces, I use present perfect simple. The merchants have tried to jump back, right? It's important that you organize all the situations in a timeline, no? Timeline. It's helping you with this, organizing all the facts in the timeline so you can see, es que esto pasó antes que esto, entonces past perfect. No, pero es que esto pasó después, entonces simple past. Pero es que esto estaba sucediendo, entonces past continuous. Pero es que esto ha estado sucediendo hasta el presente, entonces present perfect continuous, right? The timeline is going to help me to organize all the story. ¿Listo? ¿Ready? Pero ¿qué pasa? Aquí tengo pues las oraciones, ¿cierto? Las oraciones en los tiempos verbales, si es pasado, si es presente, si es pasado. Pero cuando cuento una historia, Aparte de tener esto, tengo que tener los recursos para unir todo esto, ¿cierto? Lo que hemos venido hablando en las semanas anteriores, los conectores, los adverbios, las relative clauses, las cláusulas relativas, ¿cierto? Todo eso, right? Para poderlo unir. Si te fijaron en la historia del comienzo, let me just erase this part. If you check the story at the beginning, I had some different parts. En rojo tengo todo lo que son los tiempos verbales, ¿cierto? Past continuous, past perfect, no sé qué tal. Pero I have other elements. For example, it all started when, what you need to know is, ¿cierto? Entonces, ¿qué sucede acá? We have to use some connectors in order to connect, of course, the story. Ready? Entonces, sometimes we can use connectors such as the time adverbs. Adverbs de tiempo que ya hemos visto, ¿no? Later, the next day, afterwards, ¿cierto? Para cosas que pasaron después, right? O before that, until that time, up until then, para cosas que pasaron antes. O yo si pasaron antes uso past perfect, had never lost. O other adverbs like when, as soon as, the moment, para hablar de actions that happen at the same time, ¿cierto? También podría ser while, ¿cierto? Another option. O once, another option, una vez que, ¿cierto? Ahora se lo hemos visto en intermedio 1, ¿ready? Entonces, depending, those adverbs are going to help me to connect the ideas, right? For example, if I want to use these adverbs with the previous example, I would say that, wait a second. The COVID was discovered in China in 2019. After that, the virus, the virus continue to spread all the world, no sé qué. As soon as, I can use another one, as soon as the pandemic was declared, coma, my salary came down. Entonces, tan pronto como la pandemia se declaró, my salary came down. Entonces, ya no están con solo las oraciones sueltas, sino que cojo las oraciones y las empiezo a unir con esos adverbios, ¿cierto? Entonces, estos adverbios son de tiempo, para decir antes, después, al tiempo que, tan pronto como, ¿cierto? All of those, right? They are going to help me to connect my ideas before, ready? Questions hasta, no la parte de abajo, just the first part, the purple part. Questions about any of these adverbs. ¿Alguno de estos adverbios no está claro? ¿Todos claros? What do you feel? Facing. Questions, difficulties about these adverbs, problems, all fine, más o menos.
Teacher,
Ujú.
o sea que esto que estamos viendo acá solamente son para hacer los conectores. O sea, es decir, ya hicimos lo que vimos que era presente, pasado y eso. Pero en estos son para utilizarlos dentro de la oración y hacer las conexiones, pues para hacer los conectores.
Exactamente,
Ok.
exactamente, Vivi. Entonces, por ejemplo, aquí yo tenía muchas oraciones, ¿cierto? Puras oraciones, pero no tenía ningún conector. Entonces se siente como que es una lista de ideas ahí. I was working last week when I felt horrible pain in my shoulder. Entonces aquí digo, bueno, si yo le hubiera puesto otro conector, por ejemplo, I was working last week, and then I use when I felt, ¿cierto? Then I can use, for example, bueno, here I use recently, or I can use, for example, before that, de hecho sí, yes, like earlier, ¿no? Lo tengo acá, earlier. O before that, que sería antes de eso. I had exercise. Entonces, es coger esas oraciones que ya tenía y empezar a conectarlas. Claro, dependiendo de mi intención, ¿no? Si yo quiero hablar de lo que hice después, o al tiempo, o antes. ¿Listo? Tengan en cuenta que cuando usamos los de antes, up until then, before that, and until that time, es para usarlo con past perfect, ¿cierto? Para decir la acción que había sucedido antes de ella. ¿Listo? Entonces, por ejemplo, up until then, hasta ese entonces, yo nunca había perdido nada importante. Past perfect. ¿Listo? Entonces, es muy importante tener en cuenta qué tiempos funcionan con qué adverbios. Right? It's very important to do that. Questions? Good. Hannah, ¿cómo vas? Bien. Problem?
Teacher,
Yes.
¿puede devolver a la diapositiva anterior, por favor?
¿Diapositiva o a la historia?
display. Earlier.
Earlier. What is the meaning of early?
No. Por eso le pregunto. Como para la exploración ahí.
¿Recuerdan qué significa early? Que es el opuesto de late.
Temprano.
Temprano. Y si lo coloco earlier en comparativo sería
Más.
más temprano. Muy bien.
Ajá. Ok.
¿Listo? Entonces, más temprano. Lo mismo que si tengo late, que es tarde, y le coloco later, sería
Más tarde.
más tarde, exactamente.
Ah, ok. David.
Perfecto, muy bien. Bueno, entonces esos son adverbios de tiempo, ¿no? O sea, para darle en función de tiempo, organización a la oración, a la historia. ¿Listo? Llámese noticia, llámese anécdota, funciona igual. ¿Right? Bueno, muy bien. In addition to that, I have other connectors. And this time are expressions that they help me to organize my story. But they are not simple words, like for example, later or afterwards. No, they're going to be complete expressions. ¿Listo? These expressions are used for especially three things. Ready? One, starting a story. Starting the story. Two, complementing the story. And three, closing the story. Closing the story. Ready? Entonces, these expressions are divided in these three functions. They can start the story, para empezar la historia. They can complement the story, para introducir información adicional. Can be further, hacia adelante, o sea, información de más adelante de la historia, o backwards. Es decir, devolverse en la historia. Cualquiera de las dos es información adicional. And closing the story, o sea, cerrar, concluir la historia. ¿Listo? Let's read the expressions and then you tell me what is the use of them. Vamos a leer la historia, las expresiones y ustedes me cuentan o me dicen para qué son. ¿Listo? Number one, I will never forget the time. ¿Qué creen? ¿Para qué es? I will never forget the time. Nunca olvidaré la vez que... ¿Para qué será? Starting the story, complementing the story o closing the story.
Starting, teacher. Starting.
Of course, starting the story. So when you say like, no, I will never forget the time, nunca olvidaré la vez que, so you're going to start the story.
That reminds me of when. Para mí.
Uh-huh. This one, yes? Also for starting?
Sí, eso es complement.
Bueno,
Complemento.
vamos a ir en orden y ya miramos, ¿listo? Entonces, no worries. Give me one sec. La segunda es, the thing you have
Ok.
to know.
Usted está pidiendo todas las starting. Entonces, no, esa no es. Para mí ese es complemento.
Bueno, listo, good. We're going to go over there in a second, right?
Ajá.
Entonces,
Okay.
number two, the second one, the thing you have to know is, what do you think? Complementing, starting, closing? Complementing the story, ¿cierto? Como que se va a devolver. Lo que tienes que saber es que, De hecho, la usamos en la historia, ¿cierto? Es decir, what you need to know is that other, para devolverme a otros detalles complementarios. ¿Listo? Muy bien. Excelente, excelente. Number three, it all started when? Of course, starting the story. Yes,
¿Sí?
muy bien.
Todo
Now,
comenzó.
sorry?
Todo
Yes,
empezó
exactly.
cuando. Ah, sí. Pues.
Exactly. So it's for starting the story, no? Number four, what happened was that, usually there is a that. ¿Sí? What happened was that, lo que pasó fue que, what happened was that.
Starting, teacher.
Tiene que starting. Caro.
Eso sería como un complemento, ¿no?
Bueno, muy bien, good, excellent. This one is more complementing, but sometimes they can be used for two things. For example, maybe it can be also used for starting,
Y
right?
también puede ser un complemento.
Yes, exactly, both. So, for example, I can say, bueno, no, y bueno, ¿qué pasó porque llegaste tarde? No, teacher, what happened was that, starting the story, ¿cierto? Pero también puede ser un complemento. No, imagine that I was doing TTT and what happened was that, for example, in the story over here, ¿cierto? I can say, I felt a horrible pain in my shoulder. What happened was that I had exercise earlier that day, ¿cierto? Complementing the story. Entonces, they can be both. Muy bien. Number 5. I forgot to mention that.
Closing.
History, ¿no?
Sorry, once again.
Be closing.
Closing, not really. Because in that case, you're going to go back.
Okay.
Complement, teacher.
Complement. Muy bien. Te vas a devolver. You said, I forgot to mention that. O sea, in the same story, you are going to mention other thing. Complementing the story. ¿Listo? Muy bien. Carito, help me to read this expression.
Meanwhile.
Perfecto. Meanwhile, it means mientras tanto. What is the use of that expression?
Complementary.
Of course. Complementing the story. Exactly. Muy bien. Next, Vivi, please, the next expression.
And in the end.
And in the end, very good. I see it's going to be for
Complement. Ah, no, sí,
Eso
es
me
final, sí.
recuerda, ¿no?
Es closing.
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 Esa es la siguiente, Vivi. That reminds me of when. Eso me recuerda a cuando, pero la que leíste es. Y al
En
final.
fin.
Exactly.
Y
Al
en
final,
fin,
entonces sería
ok.
for closing. ¿Listo? Muy bien. Closing the story. ¿Sí? The next one, it's the one that Álvaro read before. It's that reminds me of when. Me recuerda cuando. Entonces, again, it's going to have the two possibilities. Starting the action, the sentence, and also complementing the story. Muy bien, excelente.
Pero, teacher, también podría en su momento ser una conclusión.
Do you think so?
Porque yo digo, bueno, pues yo olvidé tal cosa y tal cosa, y de esto y esto, pero recuerdo también cuando esto y esto. No, mentira, no. Porque
Complementing.
no, abre la puerta, sí, abre la puerta. Sí, ya.
Exactly, o sea, lo que vas a hacer es incluir información adicional, posiblemente
Ajá, sí.
devolverte, ¿no? Entonces, that goes complementing. Muy bien. The next one, it says, the next thing we knew. Lo próximo que supimos fue que, the next thing we knew,
Complementary.
of course, complementing information, especially backwards, ¿no? O sea, lo próximo que, further. Lo próximo que los que supimos fue que, va a contar algo más, pero hacia el futuro, right? Muy bien. Later on. So, later on.
Complementary.
Obvio, Caro, very good. Complementing, excellent. Also further, ¿no? Like this one, like later. So, later on. Y después, Ready? The next one. To make a long story short. Para hacer el cuento corto. To make a long story short. Of course, for closing the information, closing the story, right? So this is pretty clear. Next, I have got to tell you about. Tengo que contarte, bla, bla, bla. I have got to tell you about.
Complementary.
It could be complementary, but more commonly used for starting, ¿no? Like, no, tengo que contarte, O sea, I have to tell you about, pero también, of course, could be complementary in sometimes, ready? Bueno, muy bien, very good. Next, the other thing is...
Complement.
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 Sí.
And the last one, so finally...
Así que finalmente, closing.
Closing. Así que
Closing
finalmente.
the story. Exacto. Así que finalmente. ¿Listo? Entonces, all of these expressions have a specific use, depending your intention. As always, como siempre, depending on your intention. ¿Cierto? Teacher, I want to conclude or close the story. Bueno, you have different expressions. I want to start, but I don't know how. Bueno, you have different expressions. I want to include more information, pero no quiero decir siempre and. Bueno, pues you have more options there, right? Entonces, these are the options that we can include in order to tell a story, ready? The story can be something similar to the story that we read at the beginning. Tiene de todo. It all started when para empezar, ¿cierto? When para continuar, complementary. What you need to know is that, bueno, en this case for complementing, ahí debimos haber incluido otra para cerrar, ¿cierto? Por ejemplo, so finally other teams, could be, ¿no? Entonces, in that case, apart from the tenses, aparte de los tiempos, you have to use those connectors in order for connecting and giving more order to the idea. Puede ser una historia como esta, que es una noticia, ¿cierto? Including that. Or it can be a personal story, ¿cierto? Can be a personal story like this one, ¿cierto? I was working last week, when no sé qué happened, Entonces, it can be both. Puede ser las dos. Ready? Guys, I'm going to ask you two very short, super short, think in a story. Something short, short, short. Ready? Tell me one impressive story. Can be one anecdote, can be one piece of news, ¿cierto? For example, I can say, in Ecuador, a TV broadcast was streaming live, when, no sé qué happened, ¿cierto? Va a contar como la historia. O bueno, entonces ahí empiezo, I have got to tell you about a TV broadcast that was streaming live in Ecuador when a group of men with guns entered the studio, no sé qué, y hasta el momento some people have been captured, have been processing the criminals, no sé qué, ¿cierto? Entonces, all the news puede ser toda la noticia o an anecdote of you, pero algo cortito, súper corto. ¿Listo? You have 1 minute, piénsenlo, think. Piensen en la historia, no worries. Puede ser real, puede ser falsa, no problem. It's not a problem.
In Medellin, a team traveled, and they won championship. No sé si fue claro.
A team of what? Soccer, basketball?
Soccer.
Okay, what
Fútbol.
team? Chapecoense? What?
No, Junior.
Ah, my God, yeah. Bueno,
En Medellín, no quise mencionarlo, pero en
ajá.
Medellín, entonces ahí voy a colocar el nombre, pues. En
Yes.
Medellín, the Junior of Barranquilla
Ajá.
traveled at play and they won championship.
Okay, very good. Yes.
All right.
Yeah, that one is all right. Entonces, it's short, right? ¿Qué puedes hacer? Por ejemplo, incluirle at the end, no sé,
Ajá.
let's say including another details. What you need to know is that the fans in Medellín were very disappointed, estaban muy tristes. Entonces, no, lo que tienes que saber es que la gente en Medellín es como para incluir más detalles, ¿no? Y
Más
también lo puedo
detalles.
cerrar, ¿cierto? De pronto cerrarlo. Entonces, to make a long story short, para hacer el cuento corto, Junior was the champion and Medellín was second, but the people was very disappointed. Fin, como una conclusión,
Ok,
¿no?
ya. Ujú. Sí,
¿No?
thank
Muy
you.
bien, pero bien, excelente, Álvaro, very good.
Okay, thank you, Licho.
Any other short story about you?
Me.
Dale, Carlos.
Okay, I watched on TV when I was eating my lunch,
Mhm.
and I saw the terrible news that it was terrible. When a car was moving in the parking, I
Okay.
don't know. Suddenly, the motorcycle appeared, and the motorcycle suffered a terrible accident
Oh my God. In the parking.
in the park. Yes, but it's so very good, but it's real. It's true.
Okay.
It's true
And
story.
the person died? The biker died?
No, but maybe the motorcycle. Yes, that person
Uh-huh.
suffered the terrible accident in his leg, maybe.
Oh my God.
But it's very quickly the
Oh
accident
my
because
God. Okay.
you
Very
notice
good.
that. Yeah.
In this moment so far, how is the person, the rider, the biker, how is it in this moment?
I
He's
don't
good? Or he cut his leg? Or what happened with the leg of the man?
I don't know. Maybe that the how to say the newspaper and the time.
Uh-huh.
The time newspaper saw the video about that.
Ah,
Yes.
okay. Uh-huh.
Maybe okay, yes. He has been broken.
Eso fue lo que le pasó. A partir de ahí, he has been recovered. Se ha
Ah,
estado
okay.
recuperando, ¿cierto?
He has been recovered. Okay,
Ujú,
yes.
muy bien. De resto, muy bien. Excelente, Caro.
Okay.
Very good. ¿No? Conectores bien, muy bien. Suddenly, after that. De pronto algunas expresiones, ¿no? Como por ejemplo, what you need to know is that the man of the car was drunk. O bueno, depende de los detalles, ¿no? But including other
Okay.
details con las expresiones, ¿vale? What you need to
Okay.
know, the next thing we knew,
Yeah.
¿Right?
Okay.
Muy bien, Caro. Excellent. Very good. Anybody else? Anybody else has a story to tell? Pau,
Yes.
dale.
Last week, some boys were playing in the park, and they are playing soccer,
Uh-huh.
and by a ride on road bike when suddenly, no, suddenly a dog did it, so no one.
Wait, suddenly a dog didn't what? Sorry, I didn't get it.
Suddenly, a dog did, ay no sé, mordió,
¿Vio? ¿Vio? ¿De ver?
morder, de morder.
Ah, morder, bite. Ah, bite, bueno, bite es en presente, pero en inglés, en pasado sería beat.
This
Ujú.
one child.
Oh my God.
To make a long story short, the mother of son llevar take
Took.
the boy to the doctor.
Exactly, muy bien, Paula. Entonces, to make a long story short, the mother of the boy took him to the doctor. Para concluir, ¿no? Para cerrar. Excelente. Very good. Alvarito, pregunta, question.
No, de pronto con lo que con un poquito de pronto organizar de pronto la idea con la que usted me dijo, podía ser Junior played in the final and won the championship.
Ujú.
So the person in Medellin,
The people.
the people, yeah. Sí, yeah. So the people in Medellin were very sad.
Ajá. Sí, exactly like that. That's it. Ajá.
Okay.
Perfecto. Muy
Ajá.
bien. Very good. Listo. Excellent. Very good. Anybody else? Maybe Karen, maybe a story.
Teacher, in Antioquia last Christmas, there were many people burned, pólvora, no sé cómo se
Yes.
dice pólvora.
Yeah, well, bueno, you could say born by
Ajá,
or with gunpowder. Gunpowder, it means
ajá, ok.
gunpowder, como pólvora. O
Ujú,
fireworks, que sería como juegos pirotécnicos. Cualquiera de los
ajá.
dos. Right?
Then we all, no sé, loud head o felices, algo así. Pero al final, pues, pasamos como felices.
Ah, ok, ok. So, bueno,
Ujú,
muy bien.
como para
Entonces,
cerrar.
good, excellent. Entonces, in Antioquia, in Medellín, there were many people burned by gunpowder.
Ujú,
But at the end, we had a good time. Puedes decir, como para decirles felices, pues,
ujú,
we had, we, perdón, we had a good time, que es como la expresión de tener un buen rato, ¿no? So, had a
ujú.
good time. O we were happy, también puedes usar we were pleased, we were happy, we were with family, cualquiera, está
Ujú,
perfecto. Listo.
ok.
Bien, entonces con la expresión at the end, ¿no? Muy bien,
Ujú.
perfecto. Listo, muy bien. And Karen, do you have one? One story, my dear?
Um, the past week in La Calera, it
Mhm.
was a forest fire. Uh, and Sularero, the five fibers put on the fire.
Okay.
And so finally, they finished by the ashes.
Ah, bueno, my God. Did somebody got burned or died? Like a person or an animal?
No,
Okay, fine. Bueno, muy bien, very good. Karen, question, perdón, recommendation. Careful with the past and last. Past es el pasado, pero pasado como lo que ya pasó, el pasado. Y last es el previo, o sea, es decir, como cuando digo el sábado pasado, la semana pasada. Para esos casos uso last. ¿Vale?
okay, teacher.
So, perfect. Muy bien, excelente. Good. Entonces, esa historia, por ejemplo, no tenía ningún detalle en el presente, pues simplemente todo quedó en simple past, ¿no? There was a forest fire in La Calera. The firefighters put out the fire. So, simple past at all. ¿Listo? Hannah, do you have a story over there? No, I think she's not there. Probably she has connection troubles. Bueno, guys, so,
Sí, teacher, yo estoy acá, pero pues todavía la estaba como haciendo.
tell me what you have so far.
Dime.
Tell me what you have so far. Lo que tienes hasta ahora. What you have so far.
Ah, Pero esto es de la semana 4, ¿cierto?
Yes?
Ah, ok. Em, bueno, por el momento tengo In Miraflores, I was running in the morning when I, es que ahí que no estaba segura si ahí podía usar el have o, o sea, como decir, empezó a caer una tormenta eléctrica.
Ok, so en ese caso no usas have porque se empezó en ese momento.
Entonces sería start, started.
Exactly, when it started. Como
Ok,
el verbo llover es impersonal, lo uso con it. When it started to rain.
to rain, ok.
Mhm. Okay, good. Anything else?
No.
That's it. Good.
Voy.
Bueno, listo. Entonces, al incluir más detalles, ya te vas a dar cuenta si vas hacia el frente, si vas hacia atrás. Entonces puedo colocar como, ah, no, lo que pasa, o lo que pasó, lo que sucedió es que yo no llevaba ropa para lluvia. Entonces, what you need to know is that I hadn't had, ahí sí me devuelvo, uso had, porque es para el pasado perfecto, ¿cierto? Entonces, what you need to know is that I hadn't had, how do you say, raining clothes. So in that case, you go back in the story. Depende de los detalles que quieras incluir, puedes incluir hacia el frente, hacia atrás, depende. ¿Listo? Y ahí pues así mismo vas a usar las expresiones correspondientes. ¿Listo? Guys, questions, difficulties about the stories?
Bye, teacher. Excellent.
No,
That's
teacher, no
practice.
question.
Thank you.
Perfect. Guys, recomendación. El checkpoint de la semana 4 es también una sola partecita. ¿Listo? Pero es una partecita escrita. La anterior era oral, esta parte es escrita. ¿Listo? ¿Qué van a hacer en la parte 4 del checkpoint de la semana 4? Muy sencillo. Es un escrito sobre cuáles son las consecuencias de no dormir bien, o sea, de sleeping deprivation, ¿sí? Entonces, en ese caso, lo que van a hacer es simplemente describir con los temas de la semana 3, o sea, los adverbios de tiempo, que after that, before that, right before, ¿yes? Y también con las expresiones como, for example, what you need to know, for making a long story short. Bueno, todas las expresiones que hemos visto en semana 3 y 4 para contar what happens when you don't sleep well. What happens to your body, to your mind, and everything when you don't sleep well, and some recommendations for sleeping better. Ready? It's just that. It's a short text, 2 or 3 paragraphs, no more. 2 o 3 párrafos, no más. ¿Listo? In that case, that's the. ¿Listo? Entonces, ese es el ejercicio in that case. In the checkpoint of the week number 4. ¿Listo?
Okay.
Vale, perfecto.
Excelente.
Súper. Listo. Entonces, guys,
Listo,
see you the next week. La otra semanita tenemos 2 clases, 5.1, 5.2. Entonces nos vemos ahí. ¿Listo? 5.1 y 5.2. Guys, aparte de eso, les quería contar, yo sé que ustedes son los más juiciosos, entonces voy a estar abriendo unos espacios de Conversation Club, o de club de conversación para nosotros, no para nadie más, sino para nosotros. Entonces, pues cuando los vean por ahí, pueden ingresar de manera libre, no hay que programarlos, ¿listo? Entonces, para que cuando los vean ahí en el calendario, pues si quieren entrar a charlar un rato, practicar un rato solo speaking, pues lo puedan hacer, ¿listo? Aprovechando que no tenemos tantas clases últimamente, entonces pues abrimos unos espacios de Speaking Club, ¿vale?
Okay.
súper dicho.
¿Listo? Bueno, excelente. Guys, que tengan un feliz fin de semana. Nos vemos la otra semana 5.1 y 5.2, ¿vale? ¿Ready?
Okay, teacher.
Sí, thank you very much.
Happy weekend, teacher.
Descansen. See you later.
Gracias.
Bye,
Bye, bye.
teacher.
Todo gusto.
Thank
Good
you.
night. Que descansen.
Ciao, class.
Bye bye. Álvaro.
Bye, class. Bye, teacher.